My name is Helen Joyner. I'm 33 years old. On Christmas Eve 2025, I drove 6 hours through a Pennsylvania snowstorm to get home. When I walked in, my mother didn't ask if I'd made it safely. She looked at my coat and said, "Not the dining room. Go sit in the breakfast nook with the kids. Your sister's boyfriend will be here any minute, and I will not have you embarrass us tonight." So at 33, with a PhD, a career in Philadelphia managing $180 million, and a 6-year-old daughter holding my hand, I was sent to a folding card table with a plastic snowman cloth. My daughter Emily sat down between a 7-year-old cousin and a booster seat. She looked up at me with those big brown eyes and whispered, "Mommy, why does Grandma always make us sit here?" I didn't have an answer. My mother kept smoothing the linen napkins in the dining room like she was preparing for royalty. Then the doorbell rang. My sister opened it. A man in a gray suit stepped inside, saw me, and went dead white. His hand shot to the doorframe. They didn't know he'd been texting me for 2 months. They didn't know his career was in my hands. And they definitely didn't know my mother had been hiding the truth from all of us. If you've ever been the invisible child in your family, hit that like button right now, because you're going to need it for what comes next. Let me back up and tell you how I got here. The breakfast nook is 12 feet from the dining room, close enough to see everything, close enough to hear everything, far enough to make it crystal clear we didn't belong. The dining room table had 8 place settings, Lenox china that my mother only brings out for special occasions, Waterford crystal wine glasses, 3 different sizes per person, sterling silver flatware she'd polished that morning, white linen napkins in silver napkin rings, a centerpiece of white roses from Morrison's florist that cost $120. I know because I saw the receipt on the counter. The breakfast nook had a folding card table from Target, a plastic tablecloth with cartoon snowmen that had a gravy stain from Thanksgiving, paper plates, plastic cups with Disney princesses on them for the kids, a box of 24 Crayola crayons, my cousin Jake, who's 7, my cousin Emma, who's 5, strapped into a booster seat, my daughter Emily, who's 6, and me. Emily sat down next to Jake. She looked around. Then she looked at me and asked in that clear, carrying voice that 6-year-olds have, "Mommy, are we eating with the babies because Grandma doesn't like us?" I felt my throat tighten. I crouched down next to her. "No, sweetie. We're just sitting here so the grown-ups have more room," she frowned. "But you're a grown-up." From my mouth. "I know, baby." Jake, oblivious to the tension, handed Emily a crayon. "Do you want to color a dinosaur?" Emily looked at the coloring page, then back at me. She didn't pick up the crayon. "I know what you're thinking. Why did I even come? Why would I drive 6 hours in a snowstorm with my daughter to sit at a kid's table?" Because part of me, some stupid, hopeful part, thought this year would be different. That after everything I'd accomplished, they'd finally see me. I was wrong. But before I tell you what happened when that man walked through the door, you need to understand who I really am. Because my family doesn't know. They never asked. I'm not a struggling single mom doing paperwork for a nonprofit making $48,000 a year. I'm the senior program director for the National Cancer Research Foundation, one of the 5 largest cancer research grant-making organizations in the United States. I manage a portfolio worth $180 million. I oversee funding for cancer research across the entire country. I have a team of 23 people reporting directly to me. I review over 400 grant applications every year. My signature appears on funding letters worth millions. I was promoted in September. My salary is $165,000 a year, plus a $12,000 annual bonus and full benefits. I have a PhD in molecular biology from Boston University, finished it in 2019. My dissertation was on targeted inhibition of PDL1 in triple-negative breast cancer cell lines. I've published 12 peer-reviewed papers. I present at national conferences. I collaborate with researchers at the National Institutes of Health. My mother doesn't know any of this. She never asked. I live in Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia. A beautiful one-bedroom apartment on the 8th floor with a view of the park. 2,100 a month. Hardwood floors, high ceilings. Emily has her own room. We walk to her school in 15 minutes. I walk to work in 18. I volunteer with Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. I have season tickets to the Philadelphia Orchestra. I have 3 close friends from work. Emily has play dates and dance classes and everything a 6-year-old could want. We have a good life. A life I built. But my mother still thinks I'm struggling. She still thinks I made a mistake leaving my ex-husband. She still thinks I'm the daughter who couldn't get it right. Let me tell you about David. I married him when I was 27. David Sloan. Software engineer. Kind, stable, patient. We met in Boston when I was finishing my PhD. He was everything my parents said they wanted for me, except they didn't want him. My mother said he wasn't ambitious enough. My father said he came from a working-class family, as if that was a disease. We got married anyway. Small ceremony in Boston. My parents came. They sat in the second row and left before the reception ended. My mother said she had a migraine. We were married for 3 years. We tried, we really did. But we wanted different things. He wanted to stay in Boston. I got offered the position in Philadelphia. He didn't want kids right away. I did. We grew apart. It happens. When I got pregnant with Emily in 2018, David and I were already talking about separation. We decided to try to make it work. For a year we did. But by the time Emily turned 1, we both knew it was over. We divorced in 2021, amicable, fair. I got primary custody. He has Emily every other weekend and holidays. He's a good father. We co-parent well. No drama. I kept his last name. Not because I still loved him. We're friends, but that's all. But because my entire professional life was built under Helen Sloan. My publications, my LinkedIn, my PhD diploma, my business cards, my work email, my reputation. Helen Sloan has a career. Helen Joyner is someone my parents dismiss. So I stayed Helen Sloan at work. And I stayed Helen Joyner on my driver's license, my passport, and in my parents' house. When I told my mother about the divorce, she was quiet for 8 seconds. Then she said, "Well, these things happen. At least you have Emily." As if my daughter was a consolation prize. Then she said, "Are you seeing anyone?" I said no. She sighed. "You should try harder, Helen. Emily needs a father figure." I hung up. I didn't come home for Christmas that year, or the next. I came back in 2022, first time in 2 years. Emily was 3. My mother hugged me at the door and said, "You look tired." Not "I missed you," not "I'm glad you're home." Just "You look tired." Then she picked up Emily and said, "Oh, aren't you precious? You look just like your Aunt Natalie when she was little." Emily looks nothing like Natalie. She looks like me. But I didn't correct her. That Christmas, they took a family photo. My father set up his camera on a tripod. My mother arranged us. My parents in the center. Natalie on the right. Me on the left holding Emily. My mother looked at me and said, "Helen, sweetie, could you step back a bit? You're casting a shadow on Natalie." I stepped back. The photo came out beautifully. They framed it, 8 by 10, hung it on the mantel. In the photo you can see my father, my mother, and Natalie perfectly. Clear, centered, smiling. Emily and I are barely there, half-cropped, a blur on the edge. That photo is still on the mantel, right now. My mother points to it when guests come over. "That's a lovely shot of the 3 of us, isn't it?" 3. If you know what it's like to be erased from your own family, comment "invisible" below. This past Easter, I drove home with Emily for church. My mother introduced us to Reverend Campbell's wife. This is Natalie, our youngest. She works at Dr. Patterson's dental practice. Such a lovely office. And this is Helen. She's up in Philadelphia, working with a foundation. And this is her daughter. Emma, is it? "Emily," I said. "Oh, of course. Emily. She's very sweet." Mrs. Campbell asked me, "What kind of foundation, dear?" My mother cut in. "Cancer research. Very noble work. Now, Have you tried the ham? I stood there holding Emily's hand and said nothing. Emily looked up at me. Mommy, Grandma forgot my name again. I squeezed her hand. It's okay, baby. But it wasn't okay. And that's when I stopped trying. Because here's what they don't know about me. I'm not just surviving. I'm thriving. My apartment in Rittenhouse Square? I could afford to buy a house in the suburbs if I wanted. But I choose the city. Because Emily and I love walking to the park. We love the museums. We love our life. My job? I just approved funding for a clinical trial that could save 30,000 lives. Last month, I presented to the board about expanding our pediatric cancer research initiatives. They approved an additional $40 million based on my recommendations. I'm respected in my field. I'm invited to speak at conferences. Researchers call me directly to discuss their proposals. I mentor young scientists. I make decisions that change lives. But my mother thinks I'm a struggling single mom doing admin work for a charity. And I let her think that. Because I stopped fighting for her approval years ago. Until tonight. Because 2 weeks ago, my sister Natalie called me. Helen, I have amazing news. I'm bringing someone home for Christmas. His name is Andrew. Andrew Brennan. He's a doctor, an oncologist. Mom and Dad are going to love him. My stomach dropped. Because I knew that name. Andrew Brennan. I met him on October 15th. At the NCRF annual donor reception at the Philadelphia Convention Center. It's the biggest event of our year. 340 guests, donors, researchers, physicians, board members, staff. I was there as staff. Navy dress, name badge. Helen Sloan, PhD, Senior Program Director, NCRF. Andrew was a guest, invited through the Pennsylvania Oncology Network, navy suit, gray tie, tall, polished, handsome in that practiced professional way. He approached me around 7:20, near the dessert table, introduced himself with a firm handshake and direct eye contact. Dr. Andrew Brennan, oncologist at Lancaster General Hospital. I've heard great things about the Foundation's work. We talked for 11 minutes about immunotherapy advances, about the challenges of clinical trial funding, about combination therapies for metastatic melanoma. He was charming, articulate, asked smart questions, but something felt calculated, like he was interviewing me, like every question had a purpose. At the end of our conversation, he asked for my business card. I gave him one. White cardstock, matte finish, NCRF logo in the corner. Helen Sloan, PhD, Senior Program Director, National Cancer Research Foundation. My email, my direct line. He looked at it, smiled. Senior Program Director. Impressive. You must have a lot of influence over which projects get funded. I kept my voice neutral. I'm part of a larger review process. It's very collaborative. He nodded, but something in his eyes told me he understood exactly what I did. He thanked me, shook my hand again, said it was a pleasure. I thought that was it. The next day, I got a text. Helen, it was wonderful meeting you last night. I'd love to continue our conversation over coffee. Are you free this week? I didn't recognize the number. Then I saw the signature. Andrew Brennan, MD. I waited 3 hours, then replied. Professional, polite. Thank you, Andrew. I'm swamped with year-end reviews, but I appreciate the offer. A soft no. He texted again 4 days later. I understand you're busy, but if your schedule opens up, I'd love to take you to dinner. No work talk. Just good conversation. I didn't reply, but I did something I probably shouldn't have. I went into our database, searched his name. There it was. Grant proposal, submitted September 28th. Lancaster General Hospital, Department of Hematology Oncology. Principal Investigator, Andrew Brennan, MD. $3.2 million, Phase 2 clinical trial. Combination pembrolizumab and dabrafenib for BRAF mutant metastatic melanoma. It was in my review queue, and suddenly his approach at the reception made sense. He'd researched me. He knew I was senior program director. He knew I managed the hematology-oncology funding stream. He approached me deliberately. That text wasn't just friendly, it was strategic. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling cold, because now I had a conflict of interest, a big one. According to NCRF policy and NIH guidelines, I'm required to immediately disclose and recuse myself from any grant review where I have a personal relationship with the PI, even a potential relationship. But I didn't know how serious Andrew was. Maybe he was just being friendly. Maybe I was overthinking. So I didn't reply, and I didn't file a disclosure. I told myself I'd deal with it if it became a problem. He kept texting, November 2nd. I hope this doesn't come across as too forward, but I really enjoyed our conversation. What do you say to coffee? Just 30 minutes. November 10th. Still thinking about our discussion on CAR T therapy. Would love to hear more of your insights over lunch. November 18th. I'm going to be in Philadelphia next week for a conference. Any chance you're free for dinner? November 22nd, the day before Thanksgiving. I know you're busy, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about our conversation at the reception. Just coffee. What do you say? Every text was polite, professional-ish, but persistent. I replied to that one. Andrew, I appreciate your persistence, but my schedule is packed through the end of the year. Have a lovely Thanksgiving. Another soft no. He texted back immediately. Understood. I hope you have a wonderful holiday with your family. I didn't reply. And then, 2 days later, Natalie called. Helen, I have to tell you something. I met someone. His name is Andrew. Andrew Brennan. He's an oncologist at Lancaster General. We've been seeing each other for 3 weeks and it's amazing. He's so smart and kind, and Mom is going to die when she meets him. My hands went numb. Andrew Brennan? Yes, do you know him? I sat down on my couch. I met him at a work event. Briefly. Oh my God, small world. He mentioned he went to some cancer research thing in Philly. Was that you? Yeah, we talked for a few minutes. He's incredible, Helen. I really think this could be serious. I'm bringing him home for Christmas. You'll love him. I said the words like a robot. That's great, Natalie. I'm happy for you. I hung up, and I sat there trying to process what I'd just learned. Andrew Brennan, the man who'd been texting me for 6 weeks asking me out. The man whose $3.2 million grant was sitting in my review queue. The man who'd clearly researched my position and approached me strategically. He was dating my sister, and he had no idea we were related. Because Natalie's last name is Joyner, mine professionally is Sloan. Because my mother never talks about me. Not really. When people ask, she says, Helen lives in Philadelphia, she works with a nonprofit, she has a daughter. Vague, dismissive, like I'm an afterthought. Andrew Brennan had no way to connect the dots, and I didn't tell Natalie what had happened. Because what would I say? So I said nothing. I drove home for Thanksgiving weekend, stayed 2 days. Andrew wasn't there yet, but Natalie talked about him non-stop. Andrew said this. Andrew thinks that. Andrew's going to revolutionize melanoma treatment. My mother glowed every time she heard his name. A doctor, Natalie. An oncologist. This is wonderful. I left on Friday morning, drove back to Philadelphia with Emily, didn't say a word, and then, 2 weeks before Christmas, something happened that changed everything. Natalie called my mother. Video call. I know because my mother told me about it later. Natalie was excited, gushing. Mom, Andrew told me the funniest thing. He said he met this woman at a cancer research event in Philadelphia. Her name is Helen Sloan. She's a senior program director or something. He said he tried to ask her out for coffee a few times, but she kept saying she was too busy. He thought she was really impressive. Isn't that funny? Same first name as my sister. My mother's face, according to what she told me much later, went white. Because my mother isn't stupid. She knows I work in Philadelphia. She knows I use my ex-husband's last name professionally. She knows I work in cancer research. Helen Sloan, Helen Joyner, same person. My mother knew in that moment that Andrew had been pursuing me. And she said nothing. She didn't tell Natalie. She didn't warn her. She didn't call me. Instead, she told Natalie, "Oh, how funny! Well, I'm sure she was just busy. Andrew made the right choice with you, sweetheart." She hung up. And she buried it. Because my mother wanted Andrew for Natalie. She wanted the successful doctor, the respectable man, the son-in-law she could brag about at church. And if that meant hiding the fact that he'd been chasing her older daughter first, so be it. I didn't know any of this yet. I wouldn't find out until Christmas Eve. But I knew something was wrong when my mother called me on December 23rd. "Helen, you're still coming tomorrow, right?" "Yes, Mom." "Good. Because Natalie's boyfriend will be there. Andrew. He's a doctor, very accomplished, very respectful. This is important to Natalie, so I need you to just be pleasant. Don't talk too much. Don't mention your work. Don't bring up Philadelphia. Just let Natalie have her moment. Can you do that for your sister?" I felt Emily tugging on my sleeve. She was holding her favorite stuffed bear, ready for the trip. "Sure, Mom." "I mean it, Helen. Don't embarrass us." She hung up. I looked at Emily. She smiled up at me. "Are we going to see Grandma and Grandpa?" I knelt down, hugged her. "Yeah, baby, we are." She tilted her head. "Do they like us?" My heart broke a little. "Of course they do, sweetie." But I wasn't sure I believed it. So we packed the car. Gifts I'd spent weeks choosing. Emily's overnight bag, her favorite pajamas, her coloring books. And we drove 6 hours through a snowstorm on Christmas Eve. Emily fell asleep in the back. I drove in silence, watching the snow, thinking about what was waiting for me. We arrived at 4:52. I parked in the driveway, woke Emily up. "We're here, baby." She rubbed her eyes, looked at the house. "It's pretty." It was. My parents' house in Upper St. Clair is beautiful. White colonial, big front porch, Christmas lights, wreath on the door. We walked up the steps. I knocked. My mother opened the door, looked at me. Not Emily. Me. "You're late." Not, "How was the drive?" Not, "I'm glad you're safe." Just, "You're late." She looked at my coat, my jeans, my boots with snow on them, like I'd tracked mud across her white carpet. "Not the dining room. Go sit in the breakfast nook with the kids. Your sister's boyfriend will be here any minute, and I will not have you embarrass us tonight." Emily looked up at me, confused. I took her hand. "Come on, sweetie." We walked through the house, past the dining room with its perfect table, into the breakfast nook, folding card table, plastic snowman tablecloth with the gravy stain still on it, paper plates, Jake and Emma already there coloring. Emily sat down next to Jake, looked around, then looked at me, and asked, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mommy, why does Grandma always make us sit here? Are we eating with the babies because she doesn't like us?" My mother, from the dining room, pretended not to hear. I crouched next to Emily. "No, baby, we're just sitting here to give the grown-ups more room." "But you're a grown-up." "I know." She frowned, didn't pick up a crayon. I sat down next to her, between my 6-year-old daughter and a booster seat, and I watched my mother smooth those linen napkins for the 12th time. My father stood by the fireplace, checking his watch. Natalie paced by the window, burgundy dress, perfect hair, perfect makeup, checking her phone, then the window, then her phone again. She was nervous, excited. This was her moment. And I was the footnote. The sister who didn't matter. The woman at the kids' table. The doorbell rang at exactly 5 o'clock. Natalie practically ran to the door, smoothed her dress, checked her reflection in the hallway mirror, opened the door with a smile that could light up the room. "Andrew, you're right on time." He stepped inside. Charcoal gray suit, burgundy tie, black Oxfords polished to a mirror shine, holding a bottle of wine. Chateau Margaux. I know wine. That's at least $200. He smiled at Natalie, leaned in, kissed her cheek. And then his eyes did what everyone's eyes do when they walk into a new space. They scanned, taking in the room, the people, the layout. His gaze swept past my father, past my mother, past the dining room, and landed on me, sitting at the kids' table, 12 feet away, my daughter next to me. I watched it happen in slow motion. Recognition, shock, panic. His face drained of color, healthy tan to pale in 2 seconds. His body stumbled, just slightly, like someone had pushed him from behind. His right hand shot out, grabbed the doorframe, white-knuckled. The wine bottle in his left hand tilted. He caught it before it fell. His mouth opened. Just a little. 4.5 seconds of direct eye contact. I didn't look away. I just sat there, calm, watching him realize that the woman he'd been texting for 2 months was sitting at a kid's table in his girlfriend's parents' house. Natalie didn't notice. She was too busy taking his coat. "Andrew, are you okay?" He blinked, recovered fast, professional smile snapping into place. "Yes. Sorry, I slipped. Your floor is very polished." His voice was strained, just slightly. My mother swooped in like a hawk. "Oh, be careful! Donald just waxed yesterday." She extended her hand. "You must be Dr. Brennan. We're so delighted." Andrew tore his eyes away from me, shook her hand. "Mrs. Joyner, thank you for having me. Your home is beautiful." Smooth, like nothing happened. My father stepped forward, firm handshake, sizing him up. "Donald Joyner, good to meet you." "Pleasure, sir." Natalie beamed, holding his arm. "Andrew, this is my dad, and my mom, and—" She gestured vaguely toward the back of the house. "That's Helen, my older sister. She lives in Philadelphia, works with nonprofits." The dismissal in my mother's voice was clear, like she was apologizing for my existence. Andrew turned, looked at me, forced smile. "Nice to meet you, Helen." Emily tugged my sleeve. "Mommy, who's that man?" I didn't stand. I just spoke, clear, calm. "We've met." The room froze. Every head turned. Natalie's smile faltered. "What?" My mother's eyes snapped to me like a whip, sharp, warning. Andrew's face went pale again. I kept my voice even. "We met at a conference in October, the NCRF donor reception in Philadelphia." Andrew's jaw tightened. He looked at Natalie, then back at me. "Right, yes, I didn't realize you were related." Natalie laughed, nervous, high. "Oh, well, small world." My mother forced brightness. "Isn't that lovely? Now, Andrew, let's get you settled. Dinner's almost ready." She ushered him toward the dining room. He walked stiffly, didn't look back. Natalie lingered, looking at me, confused. "You didn't mention you knew him." I shrugged. "It didn't come up." She frowned, but my mother called her name and she hurried off. Emily looked up at me. "Mommy, do you know that man?" "Yeah, baby. A little." "Why did he look scared when he saw you?" "Kids, they see everything." I smoothed her hair. "I don't know, sweetheart. Why don't you color with Jake?" She picked up a crayon, but she kept glancing toward the dining room. Dinner was served at 6:15. The adults at the main table went first. My mother carried platters from the kitchen. Roast turkey from Kuhn's Market, glazed ham, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, fresh rolls. The dining room looked like a magazine spread. Lenox china, Waterford crystal, 3 wine glasses per setting, sterling silver. Andrew sat in the seat of honor, to my mother's right, across from Natalie, Reverend Campbell and his wife, Uncle Jack and Aunt Christine, all watching, all smiling. No one came to serve us at the breakfast nook. I stood up, walked to the buffet in the kitchen, made a plate for Emily, turkey, mashed potatoes, a roll, brought it back, then made plates for Jake and Emma. No one offered to help. From the dining room, laughter. My mother's voice, bright and performative. "Andrew, please have more ham. Donald carved it himself this morning." Andrew's voice, warm. It's delicious, Mrs. Joyner. Everything is wonderful. Reverend Campbell asking questions. Tell us about your practice, Dr. Brennan. Andrew's smooth response, humble but confident. I'm fortunate to work with an incredible team at Lancaster General. We're exploring combination therapies for metastatic melanoma, trying to make immunotherapy more effective by pairing it with targeted drugs. My mother, Reverend. How important. Such vital work. I cut Emily's turkey into small pieces. She ate quietly. Every now and then, she'd look toward the dining room, then back at me. Mommy, why don't you sit with the grown-ups? Because Grandma wanted us to sit here, baby. But you're a grown-up. Emma, the 5-year-old, chimed in. Yeah, why are you sitting with us? I looked at her. Honest. That's a really good question, Emma. From the dining room, my father asking Andrew about his education. Where did you do your residency? Natalie interjecting with pride. He's being modest. Tell them about the clinical trial you're developing, Andrew. Andrew laughing, self-deprecating. It's still early stages, but we're hopeful. I sat there, eating turkey off a paper plate, listening to Andrew describe the exact clinical trial I'd been reviewing for the past 3 months, the trial he didn't know I had power over. Emily finished her food, pushed her plate away. Mommy, can we go home now? I kissed the top of her head. Soon, baby. Dessert came at 6:45. Apple pie, pumpkin pie, whipped cream in a crystal bowl. Uncle Jack was sitting next to Andrew. They were talking. Golf, I think. Andrew's phone buzzed in his jacket pocket. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen. Some kind of alert, hospital system probably. And when he pulled the phone out, something else came with it. A business card. It fell, landed on the floor, face up. Uncle Jack saw it, bent down, picked it up. You dropped something. He handed it toward Andrew. But before Andrew could take it, Uncle Jack glanced at the card. Read it, out loud. Reflex. Helen Sloan, Ph.D., Senior Program Director, National Cancer Research Foundation. He paused, looked toward the breakfast nook. Toward me. Huh. Helen, is this yours? The room went quiet. Every fork stopped. Every conversation died. Andrew's hand froze halfway to the card. My mother's head whipped around. Natalie stared. I looked at Uncle Jack. Calm. Yes, that's mine. Natalie's voice, shaky. Why do you have my sister's business card? Andrew looked at her, then at me, then back at her, scrambling. We met at the reception I mentioned, in October. She gave me her card. I didn't know you two were related. Natalie's voice rose. You met at a conference? Yes. We talked briefly about cancer research. I asked for her card for networking. I didn't think anything of it. Natalie's eyes narrowed. If you didn't think anything of it, why do you still have it in your pocket? Good question, Natalie, Andrew stammered. I keep a lot of cards, for professional contacts. It sounded weak. He knew it. Natalie turned to me. Helen? Emily tugged my sleeve. Mommy, everyone's looking at you. I squeezed her hand, stood up, walked slowly toward the dining room table. 8 pairs of eyes followed me. I pulled my phone from my pocket, unlocked it, scrolled, found the messages, and I started reading. Calm, even, like I was reading a weather report. October 16th. Helen, it was wonderful meeting you last night. I'd love to continue our conversation over coffee. Are you free this week? Silence. I scrolled. November 2nd. I hope this doesn't come across as too forward, but I really enjoyed our conversation. What do you say to coffee? Just 30 minutes. Natalie's face went white. I kept going. November 22nd. I know you're busy, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about our conversation at the reception. Just coffee. What do you say? I looked up. Natalie was staring at Andrew, shaking. You've been asking my sister out? Andrew stood up, desperate. Natalie, I didn't know she was your sister. I swear, your last name is Joyner. Hers is Sloan. How was I supposed to know? Natalie's voice cracked. You didn't know I had a sister? You didn't know I had a family? I I knew you had family, but you never mentioned. We started dating in November. You were still texting her in November. Andrew reached for her. She pulled away. Did you know about me when you were texting her? No, I swear I didn't. Emily's small voice cut through. Mommy, why is Aunt Natalie crying? I looked back at her. It's okay, baby. Stay there. My mother stood up, her voice high, brittle. Helen, what is this? What are you doing? I turned to her. I'm answering questions, Mom. You're causing a scene on Christmas Eve in front of everyone. I kept my voice calm. I'm not causing anything. I'm telling the truth. Reverend Campbell shifted uncomfortably. His wife touched his arm. They clearly wanted to leave. Uncle Jack was staring at Andrew, reassessing everything. My father sat silent, stone-faced. I wasn't done. There's more you should all know. Everyone turned back to me. I looked at Andrew. Tell them about your grant application. His face went from pale to gray. Natalie looked between us. What grant? I didn't wait for him to answer. Andrew submitted a proposal to NCRF in September, $3.2 million, for a Phase 2 clinical trial on combination therapy for metastatic melanoma. I paused. Let it sink in. I'm the senior program director who oversees that funding stream. Uncle Jack's eyes went wide. Holy shit, my mother gasped. Helen! I ignored her. That means I review proposals like Andrew's. I make recommendations on which grants get funded and which don't. My input carries significant weight with the board. Natalie's voice was barely a whisper. You're reviewing his grant? I was, until I realized there was a conflict of interest. Andrew found his voice. Hoarse. Helen, I didn't know. When I met you at the reception, I didn't know you were the person reviewing my proposal. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't you? No. I mean, I knew you worked at NCRF. I saw your badge, but I didn't know you specifically handled hematology-oncology grants. My business card says Senior Program Director. You asked what I did. I told you I managed a large portfolio. You're a smart man, Andrew. You knew. He opened his mouth, closed it. Nothing. My mother found her voice, shrill. Helen, what exactly is your job? I turned to face her full on. I'm the Senior Program Director at the National Cancer Research Foundation. I manage $180 million in cancer research funding. I supervise 23 people. I review over 400 grant applications every year. I make $165,000 a year plus bonuses. I have a PhD from Boston University. I've published 12 peer-reviewed papers, and I was promoted to this position in September. My mother's mouth opened. Nothing came out. My father's voice, quiet, stunned. You never told us. I looked at him. I tried, Dad. You never asked. My mother found words. But you said, you work for a nonprofit. I do. NCRF is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. But you never said you never said you made $165,000? No, Mom, I didn't. Because every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject. You assumed I was struggling. You assumed I made no money. You never asked. Reverend Campbell cleared his throat, trying to ease tension. Helen, that's remarkable, truly. Your work must save countless lives. I nodded at him. We try, Reverend. Uncle Jack was still staring. Jesus, Helen, why didn't you ever say anything? I looked at him, then at my mother. Would anyone have listened? Silence. Andrew spoke up, voice shaking. Helen, according to NCRF policy, you need to recuse yourself from my grant review. This is a conflict of interest now. I looked at him. I know. I've already drafted the disclosure email. I'll file it Monday morning. I never meant for this to... It doesn't matter what you meant, Andrew. It matters what you did. Natalie stood up. Her chair scraped. She looked at Andrew, tears streaming. Get out. Natalie, please. Get out of my house. Her voice was steel. Andrew looked around. No one defended him. No one spoke. He grabbed his coat, walked to the door, stopped, looked back at Natalie. "I'm sorry." She didn't answer. He left. The door closed. 7:09 p.m. Emily's voice, small and scared. "Mommy?" I turned. She was standing now, looking at me with wide eyes. I walked back to her, knelt down. "It's okay, baby." Why was everyone yelling? "They weren't yelling at you, sweetie, I promise." Natalie collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I stood up, walked toward her. She looked up at me. You knew he was interested in you." I sat down next to her. "I didn't know he was seeing you until you told me his name in November. I had no idea." "But you knew he was texting you." "Yes, and I said no every time." "Did you like him?" I thought about it, honest. No, something about him felt off, like he wanted something from me. She stared at me. His grant. He wanted his grant approved. I didn't answer, because I didn't know if that was true, but I suspected it. She put her face in her hands. "He used me. To get to you." Maybe. Or maybe he genuinely liked her and the connection to me was a bonus. I'd never know. My mother's voice cut through, shaking with rage and something else. Guilt, maybe. "How could you do this, Helen, on Christmas Eve, in front of everyone? You humiliated your sister." I stood up, looked at her. "I told the truth, Mom." "You should have kept quiet. You should have—" My father's voice, firm. "Barbara, stop." She whirled on him. "You're taking her side?" He looked at me, then at Natalie, then back at my mother. She saved Natalie from making a terrible mistake. That man was lying. Better she knows now. My mother's eyes filled with tears. "You've always been jealous of your sister. Always. And that's when I'd had enough." "No, Mom, I've never been jealous. I've just been tired of being invisible." I walked to the coat rack, got my jacket, Emily's coat. My mother's voice, desperate. "Where are you going?" "Home." "You can't leave, it's Christmas Eve." I turned to face her one last time. "Mom, you sat me at a kid's table. You told me not to embarrass you. You introduced me to your friends and forgot my daughter's name. You've spent 33 years treating me like I don't matter. So yes, I can leave, and I will." I held out my hand to Emily. "Come on, baby, we're going home." She took my hand immediately. Natalie's voice, quiet, broken. "Helen, wait." I stopped. She wiped her eyes. "Thank you for telling me. I wish you'd told me sooner, but thank you." I nodded. My father stood. "Helen, drive safe, both of you." His voice was soft. Maybe the first time in years he'd looked at me, really looked at me. "I will, Dad." Emily and I walked out into the snow. The cold hit hard. My car was buried under 4 inches. I unlocked the trunk. The gifts were still there, untouched. I didn't take them out. I buckled Emily into her car seat. She was quiet, processing. I got in, started the engine, sat there while the heater kicked on. My phone buzzed. Text from Natalie. "I'm sorry for everything. Drive safe." I didn't reply yet. Just sat there. Emily's voice from the back. "Mommy, are we going home now?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror. "Yeah, baby, we're going home." "To our real home? In Philadelphia?" "Yes, our real home." She smiled. Small. "Good. I like our home better." "Me too, baby. Me too." I backed out of the driveway, didn't look back at the house. The drive home took 6.5 hours. Snow was worse. Roads empty. I stopped once. Somerset. Gas station. Filled the tank. Bought terrible coffee, threw it away. Emily slept in the back. My phone kept buzzing. I didn't check it until a rest stop around 10:30. 3 texts from Natalie. "I'm sorry. I never knew what you did. I should have asked. Mom is not handling this well, but Dad told her she was wrong about you." 2 texts from my mother. You embarrassed this family beyond repair. I don't know who you are anymore. One from my father. Get home safe, kiddo. One from an unknown number. Helen, this is Andrew. I'm sorry for everything. I'll recuse myself professionally. I hope you can forgive me. I deleted Andrew's number, replied to my father. We're safe. Thank you. Didn't reply to my mother. Got back in the car. Drove. We arrived in Philadelphia at 2:18 a.m. Christmas morning. I carried Emily up to our apartment. She was half asleep. I tucked her into her bed, kissed her forehead. She murmured, "Mommy?" "Yeah, baby?" "I'm glad we're home." "Me too." I went to my room, changed, collapsed on my bed. My apartment was quiet. No decorations, no tree, just us. And for the first time in hours, I could breathe. The next morning, December 26th, I woke up at 7:30. Emily was already up, watching cartoons. I made breakfast, pancakes, her favorite. We ate on the couch, quiet, normal. Around 8:30, I opened my laptop, drafted the email I'd promised. Subject: Conflict of interest, disclosure, immediate recusal required. Dr. Jameson Clark, Chief Science Officer, National Cancer Research Foundation. Dear Dr. Clark, I am writing to disclose a conflict of interest regarding grant number NCRF-2025-HO-182, PI, Andrew Brennan, MD, Lancaster General Hospital. I met Dr. Brennan at the NCRF annual donor reception on October 15, 2025. He subsequently initiated personal contact over a period of 8 weeks. I declined all invitations. I recently learned Dr. Brennan is in a relationship with my younger sister. Given these connections, I can no longer provide unbiased review of this proposal. I respectfully request immediate recusal and reassignment to another program director. I apologize for any disruption to the review timeline. Full timeline of interactions attached. Sincerely, Helen Sloan, PhD Senior Program Director. I sent it. Dr. Clark replied at 10:15. Helen, thank you for your transparency. Let's discuss Monday. Don't worry, we'll handle this appropriately. Monday, December 27th, I met with Dr. Clark. He was understanding, supportive. You did the right thing. This is exactly why we have these policies. The grant was reassigned to Dr. Patricia Donnelly. I was officially off the case. Over the next 2 weeks, Natalie and I texted. Not every day, but regularly. She was processing, hurting, but also waking up. I've been looking into Andrew online. He has a pattern, Helen. Women in positions that could help his career. I feel like such an idiot. I called her. You're not an idiot. He was calculating. You couldn't have known. Do you think he targeted me to get to you? I was honest. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe he genuinely liked you and saw me as a bonus. Either way, you're better off. She was quiet, then, thank you for telling me. You're my sister, Natalie. Am I? We barely talk. That can change. If you want it to. Long pause. I'd like that. On January 10th, Natalie called. Helen, I'm thinking about moving out, getting my own place. Mom's not handling any of this well. You should do it. It'll be the best thing you ever do. Really? Really. You'll finally get to figure out who you are, not who they want you to be. She laughed. Sad. Like you did. Yeah, like I did. She paused. Can I come visit you sometime? See your apartment? Meet Emily properly? I smiled. I'd love that. My mother called me 14 times between Christmas and mid-January. I didn't answer. She left voicemails. The first few were angry. You need to call me back. Then defensive. I was only trying to protect Natalie. Then guilt-tripping. It's the holidays. Family should be together. And then January 8th, different. Quieter. Helen, your father showed me your LinkedIn. I had no idea. About your PhD, your position. I don't know what to say, please call me. I listened. Didn't delete. Didn't call back. Not yet. January 11th, Natalie told me something that made my blood run cold. Helen, I need to tell you something. About Mom. What? 2 weeks before Christmas, I was on a video call with her. I was talking about Andrew. I mentioned that he'd told me about meeting some woman named Helen Sloan at a cancer event. He said he'd tried to ask her out, but she was too busy. My stomach dropped. And? Mom's face went weird, like she realized something. But she didn't say anything. She just changed the subject. I didn't think about it until now. She knew. What? She knew Andrew had been pursuing me. She connected the dots. Helen Sloan, Helen Joyner, she knew, and she didn't tell you. Natalie was quiet for a long time. Why would she do that? I closed my eyes. Because she wanted you to have him. The successful doctor, the respectable son-in-law, even if it meant hiding what he'd done. Oh my God. Yeah. Natalie's voice shook. I need to talk to her. Natalie, no, I need to. She hung up. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. My mother. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Her voice was thick, like she'd been crying. Helen, Natalie she confronted me. About Andrew. About what I knew. I said nothing. I should have told her. I should have told you. I wanted Natalie to be happy. I wanted her to have someone good, and I thought if I just ignored it, it would go away. You chose Natalie's fantasy over the truth. I was wrong. Silence. Helen, I'm sorry. For that. For everything. For the kids' table. For dismissing you. For never asking about your life. For 33 years of treating you like you didn't matter. I felt something crack in my chest. I don't know if sorry is enough, Mom. I know, but it's all I have. I hung up. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, ironically, Alicia told me something at work. Did you hear? The Brennan grant got approved. I looked up. What? Dr. Donnelly's review came back. 3.2 million. Approved. Strong science, solid protocol. Board voted yes. I sat back, processing. Andrew's grant was funded, fair and square, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not vindication, just professional neutrality. He got what he deserved on merit. The process worked. Good. On February 21st, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. My mother's handwriting. 3 pages. Cream stationery with her monogram. I sat at my kitchen table. Emily was at a playdate. I opened it, read it twice. Helen, I've written this letter a dozen times, thrown it away a dozen times, but I need to try. I was wrong, about so many things. I built a narrative in my head about who you were. The daughter who made mistakes, the daughter who couldn't get it right, the daughter who needed fixing. I never asked if that narrative was true. I just believed it. Your father showed me your LinkedIn profile, your publications, your position. I had no idea. I feel like I've been looking at you through distorted glass for 33 years, seeing someone who wasn't there. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if I can, but I want to try, if you'll let me. I love you. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it. I'm sorry. Mom. I folded the letter, put it in my desk drawer. I didn't reply. Not yet. But I didn't throw it away either. On March 1st, Natalie came to visit. First time she'd ever been to my apartment in Philadelphia. She walked in, looked around. Helen, this is beautiful. Thanks. Emily ran up. Shy at first, then warming up. Are you my Aunt Natalie? Natalie knelt down. I am. And you must be Emily. I've heard so much about you. They colored together while Natalie and I talked. I'm moving out next month. I found a place in Shadyside. 1 bedroom. It's small, but it's mine. I'm proud of you. Mom's not happy. She'll adjust. Natalie looked at Emily, then at me. You did this alone. Raised her, built your career, with no help. I had help, friends, daycare, good coworkers, but yeah, I did it. I don't know if I could. You could, if you had to. She smiled. Maybe. We ordered pizza, watched a movie. Emily fell asleep on the couch. Natalie looked at her. She's lucky. To have you. I'm lucky to have her. On March 15th, my father texted, Your mother wants to come visit. To see Emily. To see your life. Would that be okay? I stared at the message for a long time. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Let me think about it. Take your time. I didn't answer right away, because I needed to figure out what I wanted, not what they wanted, not what would make things easier, what I wanted. And I wasn't sure yet. But I knew one thing. I didn't need their validation anymore. I didn't need them to see me to know I existed. I'd built a life, a good life, a life I was proud of. I had a daughter who loved me, a career that mattered, friends who valued me, a city that felt like home. I didn't need my mother's approval. I didn't need my father's pride. But maybe, just maybe, I could let them in. On my terms, with my boundaries. Not because they deserved it, but because I deserved peace. On March 20th, Emily asked me a question while I was tucking her in. Mommy, are we going to see Grandma and Grandpa again? I smoothed her hair. Maybe, baby. Someday. Do they like us now? I kissed her forehead. I think they're learning to. She smiled, sleepy. Good, because I like our apartment better anyway. I laughed. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. I turned off her light, walked to my room, sat by the window. Philadelphia stretched out below me, lights twinkling. City alive. My phone buzzed. Text from Natalie. I signed the lease. I move in April 1st. Thank you for showing me it was possible. I smiled, typed back. Proud of you. Another text. From my father. Whenever you're ready. No pressure. I put the phone down. Maybe I'd invite them in April. Maybe May. Maybe not at all. But the choice was mine. And that freedom, that power to choose, was everything. I thought about Christmas Eve, about the kids' table, about Andrew's face, about my mother's voice, about walking out into the snow. It had been painful, messy, public, but it had also been necessary. Because sometimes the only way to be free is to tell the truth. Even when it costs you. Even when it ruins Christmas. Even when it makes you the villain in someone else's story. I told the truth, and I chose myself. And now I'm here, in my apartment, in my city, with my daughter sleeping down the hall, and my sister finding her own way, and my parents, maybe, finally starting to see me. I don't know how this story ends. I don't know if we'll rebuild. I don't know if forgiveness is possible, but I know this. I'm not invisible anymore. Not to them, but more importantly, not to myself. I'm Helen Sloan, PhD, Senior Program Director, single mother, survivor. And I'm enough, more than enough. I'm everything. If you made it this far, thank you. For listening, for being here. If you've ever been the invisible child, leave a comment. You're not alone. And if you've ever had to choose yourself over family expectations, subscribe. Because your story matters too. This is my truth, this is my life, and I'm finally free.